Flint used to be a mecca of the automotive industry. The culture was rich, the economy booming, and the people prospered. Paired with an educational system of the highest level of prestige, Flint was the gift of the internal combustion engine, as Egypt was the gift of the Nile.
But as General Motors dried up, so too did Flint struggle and face challenges. Egypt's promise of salvation came in the form of libraries and knowledge. This is Flint's commitment. This is Flint's soul. This is the city of promise.
I taught for 30 years, and I loved every day that I went to work. I loved my job. I loved working with students. I loved just being there. I was happy every single day.
I always strove to make it fun. Class is going to be fun. Yes, we have to study Beowulf, but you know what we're going to do? We're going to act it out, and you're going to be this person, and you're going to be this person, and we're going to do hand-to-hand stage combat, and we're going to tell the story physically. And so, even the boys loved studying Beowulf.
It was one of the most popular school districts in the country, and we had the largest population in Genesee County.
Growing up in Flint, when I was a Flint student, there were over 40,000 students in the Flint system. That was 4 high schools, 13 middle schools, and 40 elementaries. So that's what I knew Flint as a youngster coming up in this community.
Acting it out in the classroom, they did such a great job. I said, can you guys do that again? I'm going to go get the principal. And I'm going to have you tell the story of Beowulf just the way you told it.
This is what we do, and this is what we stand for. We already have an amazing cultural center. We have the Flint Institute of Art, the Flint Institute of Music, the Sloan Museum, and Longway Planetarium. Every city doesn't have those things, so people just have to recognize that we are a gem.
But the value we had then is that we knew we were going to learn, we knew we had opportunity, and we knew that we were going to be successful in life because there was a village there for us.
This was the mecca of General Motors. Buick City, which is now closed, at one point had 20,000 people. It was a city within a city, that's what you called it. And then you had the Flint Assemblies and the metal fabs, and
we were surrounded with people that cared. We were surrounded about neighborhoods who had pride in their properties and in the value of life.
I was 16, 17 years old, and I was on the track team, and that's when I really, really, really noticed Flint. That's when it came to me. I was living in Jackson, Michigan, and I always was intrigued and had this feeling about, I think I want to live in Flint.
The per capita income was higher in the city of Flint than it was the entire Midwest region.
My family wasn't the only one that benefited from the Flint school system. It was a great system.
You could come right out of high school, go right into General Motors, and make more than most attorneys and most doctors at starting out. They never thought that General Motors would ever leave. Your Pittsburghs and places where the steel industry just up and left, it devastated those places.
We became very prominent in that industry, and then that industry abandoned us. The entire state of Michigan has never been the same.
And I think the last year, or maybe even 2 years that I taught there, they lost 2,000 students or more because people were leaving Flint looking for jobs.
A retired teacher asked me yesterday, where did you go to school here? Went to Roosevelt, no longer in existence. Fairview, which is no longer in existence. Bryant, which is no longer in existence. Homedale, which was on the east side, which is no longer in existence. Northwest, which now is no longer in existence.
They helped run down the system, period. And they know that they were responsible too for the demise of the Flint school system. Can't call them out now, they're retired.
Flint Central had something like 22 administrators come in and out of those doors. One of them was in handcuffs. And so they were having their own issues in the office upstairs, so there wasn't anybody to pay any attention.
Charles Stewart Mott's dream of Flint becoming a college town would go on to inspire the dreams and aspirations of many who would follow in his footsteps. One such man made a promise to lead the next generation into the new frontier.
I'm proud to announce our latest commitment, a $1 million pledge from Tom Goris and his family to help create the Flint Promise, alongside the $1 million pledge from Consumers Energy.
The Flint Promise was established as the Promise Zone Authority for the city of Flint. So with that came the opportunity for the Flint Promise to be a Promise Zone amongst other Promise Zones around Michigan.
The Flint Promise Scholarship was really patterned after the Detroit Promise Scholarship. They have one, and then, Kalamazoo, I believe, has one. And so what we did last year, we sort of laid some of the ground rules and patterned it after the Detroit Promise Scholarship.
Flint Promise has helped alleviate the financial struggles of the student so that now the student now can solely focus on his academics.
We took what they did as a lessons learned, brought it back here, and we first got it started and off the ground last July.
This is a last dollar scholarship. And what that means is that after Pell Grants, TIP grants, and all other types of assistance, the student will have the last dollar taken care of by the Flint Promise with 3 criteria that are being met.
They must have graduated from out of one of 12 high schools here in the city area or the Genesee County area. Number 2, they must have lived in the city of Flint for 4 years or more. And the third eligibility requirement, so that we don't leave anybody out of the process, but give them what I would call a second chance, is that they must have and must graduate from a high school with a minimum of a 1.8 GPA.
I am grateful to the Consumers Energy Foundation for joining us in this effort to provide every kid in Flint with the promise of a chance to go to college. I grew up in Flint, went to school here, and appreciate the power of education to transform people's lives and revitalize a community. Every student who works hard deserves a chance to earn a college degree. We want to give those kids and their families a reason to dream and provide them the resources to make those dreams come true.
One of the funders is Tom Gores, who's the owner of the Pistons, and Consumers Energy. And they both deposited a large amount of money into a scholarship fund where the fiduciaries are the community foundation downtown.
The Flint and Genesee Chamber, we're the administrator of the Flint Promise. And with that, we are the vetters. We are the ones who check to make sure students qualify for this opportunity for the Flint Promise. And then we have 3 partners on the scholastic level, which is Mott Community College, Kettering University, and also the University of Michigan Flint.
One of the important things about the Flint Promise Scholarship is that it provides an incentive for people to stay in school, stay in high school in Flint, and then graduate from a Flint high school so they can get a free 2-year full ride to Mott Community College and also to some of the other institutions which will be opening up to Flint Promise Scholars shortly.
When we go in and do the presentation, many people looked astonished, they're surprised, they're grateful, they're overjoyed, because there's money out here.
And initially, students were like, that doesn't sound like that's for real. That sounds like, it's a dream. But the key point was when the parents found out, and then it became beyond a dream, it became reality because of the savings of money.
Any type of free money, make it accessible for students to be able to come to school is definitely something that's beneficial. We want that access for them to be here. So when we have a program like this, there's always some kinks or bugs that you got to work out. And it's because there's a lot of back-end processing that you have to figure out and to make sure that it's running smoothly for those students.
And so once that started to really hit the population, hit our community as far as the information of the Flint Promise, then the students started getting on board. We had students who opted from going away to college to take advantage of the Flint Promise.
If they just simply apply, they could come out and have no debt, not have to pay any college tuition, and could have some help with some fees as well.
It's very important for our young people to understand that they are the future, and whatever happens with them happens with Flint.
They have got to perform according to the college academic requirements.
Education is a pathway, but it doesn't have to be the 4-year degree. It's nice to have it, but it's not the only pathway.
One of the things that we do aggressively is give scholarships out.
The jobs are at the point where they're high demand jobs that call for a skill, and if you want to look at what's going to make you feel good about yourself. You want to have the resources to be able to help family. So I think there are more and more people who know that.
We raise hundreds of thousands of dollars every year for scholarship funds so that students who can't afford two-year college, can't afford to come to Mott.
It brings them an opportunity to achieve and also have the assistance of free schooling, which also parents are excited about.
We have a website that we use. It's called greatschools.org, and we'll plug a student's address in. And that address will pop up inside the boundaries of Flint. If it pops up outside, we know, okay, they're not eligible at this time. But they must be within a Flint address at the time of their graduation.
Well, the opportunities that it provides, because it's local, it's so convenient.
You just have to find what you are going to want to do with your life, though, I would think. You would want to find something for yourself, something to invest yourself in and leave your mark.
This is a stepping stone. It's a level that any student can get in their foot in the door, and the support is here to help them be successful.
I think it's good for people in need because a lot of people can't afford college. I couldn't. I went to college on GI Bill.
A couple years ago, Tom had agreed to work with his friend and fellow Michigan State alum, Magic Johnsons, to support the Lansing Promise, but he did it with one condition. Tom told Magic that one day he'd like to see a similar program in Flint, and when that day should ever come, he was going to call Magic to join his forces in Flint. Well, that day is here. So Magic, wherever you may be, whether it's in the States or vacationing in Europe, better stay close to your phone.